I used to think a six-figure salary was the only way to get rich, until I realized why some people earning $40,000 have more wealth than those making $150,000. True financial freedom is not about your paycheck, it is about keeping what you make and escaping the lifestyle inflation that eats 80% of the average raise. I am sharing the 9 disciplined, frugal strategies that millionaires use to build quiet wealth and avoid becoming part of the 37% of Americans who cannot cover a $400 emergency. The disconnect between earning power and actual net worth is a modern paradox that leaves many high earners scratching their heads. It is a startling reality that an individual earning $40,000 a year can often accumulate more genuine stability than a corporate professional bringing home $150,000. This occurs because the mechanics of building a fortune have almost nothing to do with the size of a paycheck. Instead, the secret lies in the cultivation of what can be described as an invisible financial engine, a system where capital accumulates steadily and silently, functioning like a self-watering garden that flourishes without constant, stressful intervention. The systemic failure of the average financial plan is laid bare by recent data. According to a 2024 study by the Federal Reserve, a staggering 37% of Americans would be unable to cover a basic $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. To put that in perspective, $400 is a figure smaller than the monthly payment on many standard vehicles, such as a Toyota or a Honda. This fragility is not exclusive to those at the bottom of the economic ladder. While the average American household earns approximately $75,000 annually, the typical savings account balance sits at less than $5,000. For most, this represents a razor-thin margin of barely 2 months of living expenses. The root of this crisis is a psychological blind spot. We are conditioned to believe that the next raise or a more prestigious job title will finally solve our money problems. However, research from Harvard Business School suggests otherwise. Their findings reveal that higher earnings do not naturally translate into higher savings. Instead, most people fall victim to a phenomenon where their expenses mimic a rising tide, lifting their spending as quickly as their income grows. This process acts like a leak in a bucket, siphoning off 80% of every salary increase before it can ever be invested. By the time many realize they are running on a treadmill that leads nowhere, they are often 50 years old, staring at the hollow shell of a retirement account, and wondering how decades of hard work resulted in so little. Breaking this cycle requires shifting the focus away from the pursuit of a higher peak income and toward the mastery of 9 specific, disciplined habits that millionaires use to ensure their money works harder than they do. There is, however, a more sustainable path forward, and it begins with a fundamental shift in perspective. Frugal living is frequently maligned as a life of deprivation, but in reality, it is not about being cheap, it is about being profoundly intentional. It is the art of making strategic sacrifices today so that your future self can inhabit a world of security and freedom. By adopting a set of 9 core strategies, an individual can fundamentally rewire their relationship with capital. While every tactic is vital, the 7th strategy holds a unique power to overhaul your financial trajectory. The first step in this transformation is the 30-day rule for significant purchases. This protocol is deceptively simple, bordering on the mundane, yet its results are nothing short of magical. The rule dictates that any non-essential item costing more than $100 must be subjected to a mandatory 1-month waiting period. You simply record the item and the current date, then walk away. This cooling-off period is essential because most consumer behavior is driven by transient emotional impulses rather than cold logic. Consider the data from the Journal of Consumer Research, which reveals that 84% of the major purchases people feel they absolutely need are completely forgotten within 30 days. Let that reality sink in for a moment. Nearly 9 out of every 10 items that once felt like a desperate necessity will lose their luster in just 4 weeks. During my 5 years of practicing this discipline, I have personally saved approximately $20,000. When I revisit my list after the month has passed, I find that at least 50% of the items no longer hold any appeal. This pause allows the brain to engage in a deeper level of analysis, sparking critical internal dialogues about whether a better version exists, if the item is truly a necessity, or if a more competitive price is available elsewhere. Personal finance experts suggest that this single habit can slash unnecessary expenditures by 40% to 60%. It removes the sting of deprivation because you aren't saying no to a purchase, you are merely saying not right now. This leads directly into the second strategy: prioritizing quality over the price tag. Many people stay broke by constantly replacing low-grade goods. Real frugality means investing in durable, high-quality items that stand the test of time, even if the upfront cost is significantly higher. No, that's how you stay broke. Real frugal living means buying quality items that last even if they cost more upfront. Consider the economic math behind a simple pair of work boots. A budget pair might cost $50 but deteriorate within 6 months, whereas a $200 high-quality alternative could easily endure for 5 years. Over that half-decade, the person buying the budget option finds themselves returning to the store 10 times, ultimately spending $500. Meanwhile, the individual who invested in quality spent only $200. This results in a $300 saving and a consistently superior user experience. This logic isn't confined to footwear. It dictates the true cost of everything from kitchen knives and winter coats to office chairs, mattresses, power tools, and household electronics. There is a profound structural disadvantage to buying cheap, often referred to as the Sam Bim's boots theory, a concept introduced by author Terry Pratchett. It posits that being poor is paradoxically expensive because those with limited cash are forced to purchase low-grade goods that fail quickly, necessitating constant replacements. In contrast, those with more capital can buy quality once and save significantly over the long haul. Supporting this, a study from Consumer Reports indicates that choosing mid to high quality products over budget alternatives saves the average household approximately $1,200 annually in replacement costs. The key distinction here is that quality does not equate to luxury labels or overpaying for a brand name. It is about diligent research and reading reviews to identify true durability. My personal formula is straightforward. If an item is for daily use, I purchase the highest quality I can reasonably afford. If it is for use once a year, I opt for the minimum required to complete the task. This discipline alone has saved me an estimated $10,000 over the last 10 years simply by ending this cycle of replacing broken items. Beyond physical goods, creating wealth requires identifying the hidden drains in our daily lives. I have opened a free community dedicated to growing YouTube channels, which I believe is the golden opportunity of this decade. However, the third strategy focuses on groceries, a sector where most households hemorrhage cash without realizing it. Currently, the average American family of 4 spends $1,000 monthly on food. By mastering specific strategies, it is possible to reduce that expenditure by 50%, bringing it down to $500 a month while actually improving meal quality. The foundation of this change is meal planning, though most people approach it incorrectly. First, meal planning. I know everyone says this, but most people do it wrong. Effective meal planning is the bedrock of grocery management, and executing it properly requires a disciplined, rhythmic approach. To do this correctly, one should dedicate just 30 minutes once a week. Sunday is typically the ideal candidate to mapping out simple, unfussy meals. This is not about gourmet complexity. It is about establishing a clear roadmap that dictates exactly what items belong on your grocery list. By strictly purchasing only what is recorded on that list, consumers can avoid the common pitfalls of the supermarket. Studies indicate that those who adhere to a meal plan spend 25% to 30% less than those who do not. The logic is clear. You stop wandering the aisles aimlessly, tossing random products into the cart that eventually spoil in the back of the refrigerator, and you cease buying ingredients for ambitious dishes you never actually cook. Further savings are found in the intentional use of bulk purchasing. This strategy should be reserved exclusively for high-rotation staples such as rice, pasta, canned goods, and household paper products. Because the unit prices on bulk items are generally 20% to 40% cheaper than their smaller counterparts, having the storage space to house these goods is essentially like collecting interest on a bank account. This pairs perfectly with learning to cook basic, filling meals from scratch. Knowing how to prepare simple staples like stir-fry, tacos, or chicken and rice can reduce your costs per serving to between $2 and $4, a stark contrast to the $8 to $15 price tag associated with takeout or prepared foods. An additional, lesser-known tactic is to navigate the store's perimeter, where the fresh produce, dairy, and meat reside. The central aisles often serve as a warehouse for expensive, processed, and unhealthy options. Since I implemented these changes 6 years ago, my monthly bill for the same family size dropped from $900 to $450, returning over $5,000 annually to my pocket. However, the modern drain on wealth extends beyond the kitchen to the anti-subscription lifestyle. This is an area where financial leaks are often most pervasive because they are invisible. The average American currently carries 12 paid subscriptions, ranging from streaming services and music apps to gym memberships and meal kits. All these little $5, $10, and $15 charges add up fast. According to research from West Monroe Partners, people think they're spending about $80 a month on subscriptions, but the reality is often much higher. While many consumers estimate their monthly subscription drain at a modest $80, the reality is far more sobering. When individuals actually sit down and tally every recurring charge, the true figure typically hovers closer to $240. This means the average household is effectively burning nearly $3,000 every year on digital services they likely barely utilize. To combat this, you must conduct a ruthless audit. You need to compile an exhaustive list of every single subscription currently linked to your bank account. Use a simple 30-day rule. If you have not logged in or derived value from a service in the last month, cancel it immediately. You can always resubscribe later if the absence is actually felt. When I performed this exercise last year, I discovered 7 forgotten or redundant subscriptions that were quietly siphoning $140 from my pocket every month. By cutting them, that money returned to my bottom line instantly. Furthermore, you should consider a rotation strategy for your entertainment. There is no logical reason to pay for Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and HBO Max simultaneously. By subscribing to just one service for a few months, consuming the content you enjoy, and then canceling it to move to the next platform, you can save between $60 and $80 monthly without ever running out of things to watch. Then there is the matter of gym memberships, a topic many find difficult to face. Most people pay between $30 and $80 a month for a facility they visit perhaps twice a week. The industry data is brutal, showing that 67% of gym memberships are essentially never used. Unless you are a regular, that money is effectively being flushed away. You can achieve an elite level of fitness for exactly $0 by working out outdoors or following free instructional content online. This leads us to transportation, a category where massive financial blunders frequently destroy decades of potential wealth building. The statistics here are truly mind-blowing. In America today, the average monthly car payment has climbed to $729 for new vehicles and $528 for used ones. These figures represent the base payment only, excluding insurance, fuel, and upkeep. Over a standard 6-year loan period, that new car commitment totals over $52,000. Wealthy individuals recognize that cars are strictly depreciating assets. They lose value the second you drive them off the lot. A new car loses about 20% of its value in the first year, and about 60% over 5 years. To understand the gravity of vehicle costs, consider that a car purchased for $40,000 will likely be worth only $24,000 after 5 years. This translates to a staggering $16,000 loss simply for the privilege of ownership. The smartest financial move is to sidestep this entirely by targeting reliable used vehicles in the 3 to 5 year age range. By paying in cash or utilizing small, high-velocity loans, you effectively let a previous owner act as a financial shock absorber, soaking up the steepest part of the value drop. A 5-year-old Toyota or Honda with 60,000 miles is essentially a marathon runner at the start of its prime. With proper care, it will easily provide another decade of service at roughly half the cost of a brand new model. I have applied this logic personally by driving a 7-year-old Camry that I acquired 3 years ago for just $12,000. It continues to run perfectly with absolutely zero monthly car payments. Furthermore, because the vehicle has a lower market valuation, my insurance premiums remain remarkably affordable. I avoid the dealership tax, where labor rates are often triple what an independent mechanic would charge. For even greater savings, there is a massive benefit to mastering basic maintenance yourself. Tasks like oil changes, replacing air filters, swapping wiper blades, and tire rotations are easily learned through online tutorials. This DIY approach keeps my annual maintenance costs near $300, a sharp contrast to the $1,500 the average person surrenders to dealerships and quick change shops. Totaling these wins, I save approximately $600 a month compared to a new car payment. That is $7,200 annually, or $72,000 over a decade, even before accounting for investment growth. Transitioning from the driveway to the front door, housing represents the single largest expenditure for most households, making it the most critical variable to optimize. While traditional financial wisdom suggests spending no more than 30% of your income on a roof over your head, those serious about wealth should rebel against that standard and aim for a tighter 20% to 25% range. Achieving this in a difficult market requires a strategy known as house hacking. This involves purchasing a property and renting out sections of it to offset the mortgage. You might acquire a duplex to inhabit one side while the neighbor's rent covers your debt, or perhaps buy a single-family home and lease out spare bedrooms. Or you buy a place with a basement apartment. The rent from your tenants pays most or all of your mortgage, which means you are living almost for free while building equity. The long-term impact of this strategy is profound. I have seen friends who committed to this path in their 20s and by the time they reached their 30s, owned their properties outright because their tenants effectively cleared the mortgage. For those currently renting, a similar level of discipline can be applied by simply getting a roommate. While many value total privacy, splitting a 2-bedroom apartment is a fast track to financial stability. If your monthly rent drops from $1,500 to $750, you are reclaiming $9,000 every single year. Sustaining this for 5 years builds a $45,000 capital base, even before accounting for investment growth. That is essentially a bridge to homeownership, providing a full down payment through nothing more than shared living space. Furthermore, we must recognize that location dictates wealth more than square footage does. Many are tempted by large homes in trendy neighborhoods, but choosing a more modest dwelling in a less fashionable area can save between $500 and $1,000 every month on housing costs. According to data from Zillow, relocating from a high-cost urban center to a moderate-cost suburban area can slash housing expenditures by 30% to 50%. With the rise of remote work, this transition no longer requires sacrificing quality of life. The uncomfortable truth is that your home does not need to be Instagram perfect. It simply needs to be functional and comfortable. High-end finishes like granite countertops and hardwood floors are aesthetic luxuries, but they are not wealth builders. Keeping housing costs low is what builds a fortune, as every dollar saved is a dollar that can be redirected into assets that actually appreciate. This philosophy extends to entertainment and leisure. Frugal living is not a vow of boredom. It is about finding joy without going broke. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the average American spends approximately $3,500 annually on entertainment, covering movies, concerts, and hobbies. However, many of the most fulfilling experiences are free or nearly free. Hiking in nature or visiting local parks costs nothing. A single investment in board games provides endless social entertainment for years. Reading books from the library free. Having people over for dinner instead of going out costs maybe $20 for food versus $100 at a restaurant. Exercising in the open air is entirely free, as is attending local community staples like festivals, open-air concerts, and farmers' markets. Engaging in volunteer work for causes you value provides a sense of fulfillment that no commercial hobby can replicate, all at zero cost. This is not an argument for total austerity. Rather, it is a call for extreme intentionality. By choosing quality over quantity, you might budget for 2 or 3 truly significant concerts annually instead of attending 10 mediocre shows. Similarly, saving for one incredible, life-changing journey is far more impactful than taking 4 forgettable, average trips. My family has embraced this fully by hiking every weekend, hosting game nights, and utilizing the library for every book and movie we consume. While the average household spends $3,500 on entertainment, we have trimmed our expenditure to $1,000. Redirecting that $2,500 annual saving into an investment account with a 7% return over 20 years results in a final value of nearly $110,000. This is the financial equivalent of turning a small, steady stream into a massive reservoir through the simple force of compound interest. The 8th strategy involves energy and utility optimization. While many find the topic of utility bills mundane, focusing on the boring details is often where the most consistent savings are found. The average American household surrenders $2,200 annually to cover electricity, gas, and water. Most people simply pay the invoice without a second thought, yet it is entirely possible to slash these costs by 30% to 40% with minimal effort. Replacing every bulb in your home with LEDs, for example, requires an upfront cost of about $100, but because they use 75% less energy and last longer, they return approximately $200 in annual savings. Installing a programmable thermostat for $100 to $200 can reduce heating and cooling costs by 10% to 30%, saving between $200 and $500 yearly depending on your climate. Furthermore, investing $50 in weather stripping to seal air leaks can trim another 15% to 20% off your climate control expenses. Shifting to washing your clothes in cold water rather than hot is a zero-cost adjustment that can save you $200 a year. Unplug devices when you're not using them because they still draw power even when the power is technically off. This hidden drain, often referred to as vampire power, accounts for a silent loss of $100 to $200 every year for the average household. Beyond electricity, water conservation plays a vital role in utility optimization. Simple adjustments like taking shorter showers and immediately repairing leaky faucets are essential. A single dripping faucet is not just a nuisance, it can waste up to 3,000 gallons of water annually. Allowing these leaks to persist is effectively the same as watching your hard-earned currency dissolve into the plumbing. When combined, these utility strategies can slash your annual bills by $500 to $1,000. Most of these changes require either no upfront capital or a negligible investment that recovers its own cost within a few months. This is a rare financial opportunity where you perform the labor once and reap the rewards every single month for years to come. 3 years ago, I invested roughly $400 into making my own living space more energy efficient, and I have since realized approximately $2,500 in savings. This stands as one of my most successful financial moves, second only to the minimal investment I made in launching my first YouTube channel, which completely revolutionized my career. However, the most critical strategy of all is the automation of your frugality. The uncomfortable truth is that human willpower is a finite resource that inevitably fails during moments of exhaustion, stress, or high-pressure schedules. Without a system in place, you will eventually succumb to impulsive choices, such as ordering expensive takeout or purchasing items you do not truly need. Automation serves as a financial autopilot, ensuring you stay on course even when your discipline wavers. First, you must automate your savings by scheduling transfers to your investment accounts immediately following your payday. By paying yourself first, the money is gone before you have the chance to spend it. Aim to set aside 10% of your income, or 5% if that is not currently feasible, as the habit is far more important than the initial amount. Behavioral economics research confirms that those who automate save 3 to 5 times more than those who rely on manual effort. Finally, you must place your recurring bills on autopay. This prevents late fees, which are basically paying money for nothing. The average American pays about $250 a year in late fees. That $250 represents capital that could be building your future instead of vanishing into the accounts of your creditors. Beyond basic bills, you must extend this principle to your long-term growth by automating your investments. If your employer offers a 401k, you should sign up immediately and utilize the auto-increase feature to raise your contribution by 1% every year. The genius of this tactic is that you will not even notice the minor difference in your take-home pay, yet over the course of 20 or 30 years, that small recurring adjustment will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your retirement balance. Furthermore, modern technology offers a suite of tools to make frugal choices effortless. Price tracking apps notify you when desired items go on sale. Budgeting apps provide automatic visibility into where every dollar goes, and cashback apps secure rebates on the purchases you were going to make regardless. Automation removes the friction from financial discipline, effectively acting as a permanent current that carries you toward your goals. It transforms the right choice into the easy choice, and when the right choice is easy, you finally achieve the consistency required for wealth. I automated my own finances 8 years ago, and the results were transformative. My savings rate climbed from 15% to 35% of my income simply because the funds were redirected before I had a chance to spend them. My investment accounts grew steadily through every market condition, and late fees became a thing of the past. Over those 8 years, removing human error and emotion from the equation added approximately $200,000 to my net worth. These 9 strategies are not a magical or sexy, get rich overnight scheme, but they are remarkably effective. By implementing even half of these tactics, the average person can save between $800 and $1,500 monthly. If we remain conservative and assume a monthly saving of $1,000, that totals $12,000 a year. Investing that amount in a simple index fund with a historically grounded 7% return yields $175,000 after 10 years, $520,000 after 20 years, and over $1.2 million after 30 years. This level of success comes from being smarter with the money you already make. You didn't get a raise. You didn't win the lottery. You didn't start some amazing business. You just stopped wasting money and started being intentional. This shift is where the real magic happens, as building a foundation of frugal habits allows you to experience increased earnings without the threat of lifestyle inflation destroying your progress. Because you have already mastered the art of living on less, every future raise or bonus becomes a powerful tool. You can save and invest the majority of those windfalls rather than spending them on fleeting luxuries. This is how quiet wealth is truly constructed, through consistent, disciplined choices that compound over decades. The individuals who master this don't fit the stereotypical image of the wealthy. They drive normal cars, live in modest houses, and never feel the need to post about their net worth on social media. Their reward is not social status, but something far more valuable: freedom. This path provides options, security, and the potential to retire early. It grants you the ability to take risks on projects you genuinely care about because you are no longer desperate for a paycheck. Ultimately, choosing this lifestyle is like trading a heavy anchor of debt for a life jacket of liquid assets. You sleep better at night when money stress is eliminated. I understand that making these changes is difficult and that mistakes are inevitable. There will be months where you overspend or buy things you don't need, but this journey is about being better than you were yesterday, not about being perfect. You should start with a single strategy, such as the 30-day rule, canceling unused subscriptions, or automating your savings, and simply observe the results for 1 month. To further support your journey toward financial independence, I have opened a completely free community where I explain how to scale a YouTube channel. Drawing from my experience with over 10 successful channels, I share strategies for monetizing faceless content. YouTube remains the golden opportunity of 2026 if executed correctly, and I am waiting to help you step by step. Please remember that I am not a financial advisor. This information is for educational purposes only, and any final results depend entirely on your own actions.